working on the One United Thriving Team program since October 2019. What are your professional wins as a leader?
I'd say there's a number of different things that you can see in the business that's really, really changed over the course of the program. And I think the big one for me is seeing the team's collaboration and seeing how they work together through what has been a very difficult time. Obviously, we've all been working remotely, but seeing people come together and working on different projects, and the communication that's improved between teams has been incredible for us. And I think for me, that's come from people really having the opportunity to explore themselves, their own strengths, but also how those strengths manifest on a daily basis. There are watch outs that, you know, we talk in the program about balconies and basements, and how that interacts, I suppose, in their daily working lives. And for me, the change from 15 months ago to now, you can really see that. And like I said, over a time when we're all working remotely, I think that's incredible.
Amazing, amazing. So, and how has that impacted on your leadership style, Jen?
On my leadership, well, it's been interesting. I think personally for me, it's been quite a journey in terms of when I originally did my strengths. I don't think there was anything in there that was a surprise, but I think the real power for me has come from looking at my balconies and basements, and sometimes looking at when I'm not serving myself best with my strengths, and being able to understand how I can lean into my strengths more, and also lean into other people's strengths more in terms of having really powerful conversations. So I think that's one of the things for me that I've really taken away from this, and is when I'm going to have a conversation, understanding somebody else's strengths and how I can use that language in a conversation has been so powerful in delivering some of the messages this year.
And tell me about your personal journey as well, because your strengths are phenomenal. If you want to share a little bit of your strengths and what has been the real impact on your personal journey.
Yeah, I mean, so my top 5 strengths are futuristic and ideation are my top 2. That was absolutely no surprise. And then I've got empathy, I've got individualization, and I've got deliberative. And I think what I've really learned in both my personal and professional life is where some of those are great strengths, and I know that I use them on a daily basis, but where sometimes they do trip me up, and where my watch outs come. So futuristic, I was not a surprise to me whatsoever. But one of the things that I've really, really learned with futuristic is that sometimes it can almost trip me up in terms of, and I think, Kira, we've shared a conversation before, when it can be like, great, yeah, look what we've achieved. And it's like, yeah, but just think about what we could do in 6 months. And how for some people that can be really demotivating. And I think what I learned about myself personally was I can plan this amazing holiday and be on the holiday, and I'm already thinking about, but when we get home we're going to do this. So I think for me, being more present, understanding that futuristic is a great strength to lean into, but being more present, I think, has been really important for me. And that, I think, during times of COVID, we probably all had no opportunity but to be present. But that for me has been a big thing, and the deliberative, and how I think when I saw I had deliberative in my strengths, it wasn't a surprise, but I think being able to see that as a strength sometimes, and understanding the watch outs, and understanding how sometimes if I have anxiety, then that can come through in deliberative, and seeing that as a watch out and recognizing it and being able to move past it, that for me personally has been huge, really huge.
And just for those who don't really understand what deliberative means, it's about seeing those potential obstacles, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Always seeing the obstacles before you see the solution. So it sometimes can hold you back or slow you down.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes for me, I struggle to get past the obstacles. So I think going through the strengths journey has made me so much more conscious of when that's happening. And then I can be present in the moment, and I can work through those things. So yeah, it's been really powerful for me.
So let's take a little bit of a journey back to October last year. So back to October 2019, and that's when we really kind of launched One United Thriving Team, and we started with the leadership team first. So in that space, we started with understanding ourselves, understanding our strengths. So the leadership team all got together, and then we had coaching sessions. And then we had the powerful 2-day session in December. And that was the game changer, wasn't it? Because we actually looked at the mission and purpose of the company, and then trying to integrate then our ways of working, our company. Can you talk to me about what did that journey do for you as a leadership team?
Yeah, it was great in terms of, I think, taking time. You know, we'd worked together for years, really successfully, and I think what those 2 days out, it was interesting because we spent time actually looking at ourselves and looking at each other in terms of how we work together as a team, and we learned things about each other that we'd probably never realized before subconsciously. Probably we did know some of that stuff. So that was really powerful, and having powerful conversations in terms of giving each other feedback around the things that we appreciate about working with each other. And that was a real game changer. I think some people felt a bit uncomfortable to start with, but you came away from that with a sense of, yes, we are a really strong team, and we're going to build on that. And one of the things that you asked, or that you helped us create, was what is our leadership team purpose? You know, what is, as a group, do we exist to do in the business? And I think having that conversation and being able to define that almost kind of renewed our purpose in the business. So that was really powerful. And then from that, we then created a group coaching session with the whole business in January, which we then wanted to take, I suppose, the powerful learnings that we'd had in our team and try to create that for the whole organisation and have a kick-off to the year so that we could get the teams really focused on what success looked like for them in 2020. Now, obviously, that was all pre-COVID, so a lot of that shifted. But what the programme, I suppose, gave us was that real power to be able to say, okay, so what is it that we want to achieve? What is it that we want to get from this year? And even when we went through, tough times with COVID, it gave us something to come back to as our team purpose, I guess.
And that January session was really powerful session because you came together as a group and as a leadership team to showcase the mission and purpose, but also the strategic priorities, and then connecting the dots with everybody in terms of what their role was to contribute to that mission and purpose. And then we did a lot of task forces and group sessions to really hear everybody's voice and everybody's opinion, which was really powerful.
Yeah. I mean, from the feedback that we'd had through Q12, it gave us the opportunity, I suppose, to focus in a couple of different areas. And the whole program for us has been about empowering the team. We've always had an amazing culture at Jaegermeister, but we started to involve people, I guess, in the feedback. In terms of the feedback we got through Q12, we then created, like you said, the task forces to get people to almost kind of be the master of their own destiny in terms of working on the feedback that they've given us around, and we've created an amazing set of MJ UK commitments which work perfectly alongside our values. And that's all about the way that we will work together. And again, that increases the language that we can use in those conversations to make sure that everybody's living the commitments and values.
And that was powerful. So if we look at kind of the freedom within the framework that we were creating, we had the mission and purpose. We also then had the strengths of the team, understanding each other in that way, and understanding, as you said, the balcony basements, the space where you can thrive, but also where you can trip yourself up, but that will build on that collaboration. And then having the company commitments as a third prong of those behaviors so that we could support each other and also hold each other accountable for our actions, which is really important. Yeah. So if we bring it then to, so January was that session, which was really powerful. And then what we said, and what was really great in that session in London, was we were then offering everybody, the whole company, to do their own strengths, to understand themselves a bit better, to understand what motivates them, but also to motivate them, but really to help everybody to be their best selves in work. So we went from February onboarding everybody into March. So we were about to roll out the full program face to face and actually do all the team sessions when COVID hit. Okay. Yeah. So I have to say here, I just want to reiterate how powerful and we talk about brave and bold leaders. You stuck with this in terms of we work together, but you as a brave leader said, no, we need to continue doing this to support the team, which I am so grateful for, because when we look back now, we were going to push it out to September, if you remember. We said, no, we're going to do an online, a virtual space. So just for everybody that's listening, what happened then was in March, we then got everybody to do their strengths, And then we onboarded them all onto the E2Grow platform, which helped. It was merely a great way to transparent way of actually showcasing everybody's strengths. So everybody could see everybody's strengths so we could understand them. And then after that, then we did the manager coaching session. So talk to me about those sessions, because they were really powerful. So we had 20 managers across the business where FUTURENEERZ would have coached them individually. But from a HR perspective, what did that bring for you as a HR director, and how did that help the program in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think credit to FUTURENEERZ as well, because I think when we went into, you know, the COVID kind of lockdown situation, I remember we had conversations around, well, should we push it out? You know, will it be as powerful with it not being face to face? And we did take the decision that we would proceed with it, and we were absolutely right to do it, because what we ended up doing was creating a situation where, you know, we were all working remotely. And we ended up creating really powerful opportunities for people to connect with their manager and with each other, in terms of the group coaching sessions that we did on a weekly basis for the whole team. But it meant that during a time when, you know, we could have paused everything, we were able to use that opportunity to get probably shorter sessions, but more regular sessions, which for us meant that we were able to get it into the muscle of the business in terms of creating those opportunities on a regular basis for people to, I suppose, practice what they were learning personally about themselves as a group, but also then using the E2Grow platform on a weekly basis to make sure that they were kind of reinforcing their learnings throughout the journey. And for me, what I remember when we first started talking about it, and we spoke to the leadership team, and we said, well, you know, throughout the coronavirus, and at that point when we thought we'd come out of lockdown and things would return to a new normal, then we said, you know, what do we want the teams to come out of this feeling and thinking? And it was that we wanted them to feel that they'd grown and that they'd been supported throughout this time. And the program for us absolutely did that, because it meant that people had the opportunity to develop themselves, to work on really powerful conversations with the manager in terms of aligning what the purpose was in the new kind of lockdown situation, and make sure that they felt connected to the organisation and still felt connected to that purpose of the organisation through that time as well.
And I love you've touched on something that we laughed about initially when we introduced the leadership wheel. So we had a lot of wheels.
Wheels on wheels.
Wheels about. So we had the leadership wheel. So the leadership team, which is about the mission and purpose, and it was about what success looks like or looked like by the end of December
2020. Yeah.
But then what we did was we brought in personal wheels. So again, the personal wheel was about what really matters to you as an individual, as a manager, as a leader in the business. What does success look like for you by the end of December from a personal and professional basis? Yeah. And then what we did, so that was in March, April, May. And when we came to June, we then did the team sessions by department. So those team sessions were sales, marketing, finance, supply chain, and HR. And it was really powerful for everybody. They had gone on that journey. So the managers did their own personal wheels, but then they supported their own team members by creating the personal wheels. And we did a number of group coaching sessions to help everybody bring that to life. And then when we came to June, July, and August, that was when we actually connected the dots with each team wheel. So the sales wheel, the finance wheel, and then an HR wheel, and then a marketing wheel. So yeah, talk to me about how did that really help in terms of getting collective responsibility for delivering the team purpose over that period.
Yeah, I mean, some of the feedback that we picked up on through Q12 was about helping people to understand what was expected of them, but also what their role that they played in the overall organisation strategic kind of purpose and direction. So having those wheels and making sure that, and there were wheels on wheels at one point, and having the leadership wheel, then the team wheels, and then individual personal wheels, it meant that people could really see the impact that their role was having on the strategic direction of the business. And I think that really, really helped people kind of connect what they were doing on a daily basis and seeing the bigger picture. So for us, that's been great, and I know through the survey results that we've done a year on that's really shifted for us in terms of and the whole strengths work that you do is around making people, creating people's best day every day. And I think having that really clear focus of what everybody's role in the organization plays into the wider purpose of the organization has really helped create that connection for people with the business.
And Jen, you touched on the fact that the team engagement, results were actually even better during COVID. Now that was really, we weren't sure what the results were going to be, when we were looking at it. And just for everybody listening, we would have done the Q12, which is the engagement survey, back in November 2019. So we did another one at the end of October, beginning of November this year. And we weren't sure despite COVID, but the results were phenomenal in terms of despite COVID, despite the remote working and everybody having a really challenging time personally and professionally, the results were very strong. Talk to me about what are those benefits that you saw coming out of those results?
I think for me, creating that landscape where people could really see their connection with the overall organisation has been really, really powerful. But I think just creating a common language throughout the organisation where people can have really powerful conversations with each other, and the use of even bringing in the coffee sinks. And I think for us that's been so powerful. And I remember when we very, very first started the program, thinking, we'd put coffee sinks in, you'd pop into a meeting room, you'd have a quick conversation, and then thinking about remotely, how is that ever going to work? But it's actually served us so well in terms of creating time in your diary to have a coffee sink with someone that's completely focused on 50. It only needs to be 15 minutes, but it's just meant that regular feedback that possibly wouldn't have happened because we weren't in the office, that moment where you have a conversation with someone, has meant that we've still felt really connected, and we've used the strengths and had really powerful conversations that, given that we're all working remotely, we might not have had. So it's meant that during a time where we could have felt really isolated, we haven't. And I think that's definitely come through in the scores. And you can see that people have had powerful conversations, so they're much clearer on what's expected of them through those conversations with their manager. And they can also see where that sits in the wider organizational purpose. So for us, it's been great that we've had this during this time, and it's now for us, it's about continuing to embed that in the business, so that whatever 2021 looks like, whether it be in the office or whether it be working remotely, those conversations continue to grow and they become a regular part of our language and our rhythm of management in the organization.
Love it. And that 2021, what does that look like? So explore or expand on what are your plans on how to embed the One United Thriving team and get it into the muscle, which is a key thing, getting into the muscle of the team. What are you going to do for 2021?
Yeah, I mean, we've set up a series of workshops, and it's for me, it will be about creating a really clear rhythm of management, so that people know what's expected in terms of conversations with their managers, and moving away from that kind of annual or every twice a year kind of review, and having those regular check-ins with what's expected, aligning of expectations on a regular basis, and checking into those personal wheels and those team wheels, and measuring progress against those objectives that you've set yourself personally and the ones that you set with your team, and making sure that we're being able to, I suppose, narrate where everybody is in terms of progression against the overall strategic direction of the business as well. And for me, it just helps people see their own progress and discuss their own career progress and their own desires in terms of what they want to work on, and just having that really, really regular dialogue, rather than having it at mid-year and end of year, just keeping that part of the language on a weekly and monthly basis. And that will be really important for us in 2021, because we have the program's really helped us during a time that, like I said, has been a challenge for businesses working remotely. But now it's about how do we continue to grow that and continue to get the benefit, because we don't just want to stay standing still. We want to grow it even further in 2021. And again, thinking about how do we bring in new starters into the business in terms of how do we get them embedded into the strengths program, and how do we make sure that people are still growing through the strengths program will be important for us in 2021 as well.
And in terms of, I'm going to just take a closer look at the teams and how you've seen a difference in the team, and the managers and the teams, because there was a lot of great feedback from some of the team members as well about them seeing that there's more creativity, there's more innovation, there's more pace, that people are clearer in terms of what they're doing. So they're going further in terms of going beyond, and it's also improved decision making. Talk to me about what are the 3 things that you're seeing in terms of how the teams are behaving and performing this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, pace at Jaegermeister has always been fast. You know, we're a very nimble organisation, but I think what the programme has done is created that increase in communication and collaboration that's meant that I think the pace has probably increased further. And some of the feedback that we got through the survey, which was great to see as well, was that people felt that the meetings were more focused. Mm-hmm. So it meant that they were almost able to spend less time in meetings, but the time was focused, and they came away with a very clear set of actions. Everybody knew what was expected, and it meant that the pace was able to continue. So that has been really powerful for us. I think we've seen probably, we've always worked really collaboratively as an organisation, but I think that's probably increased further as part of the programme. And that, again, is down to, I think, just understanding our teams better, and understanding, and I think even being just clearer with our language with each other around what's expected or what's required, what you need from an individual. I think that has definitely helped with our pace as well.
Mm-hmm. And also, there's nearly a piece around, there's a permission to challenge in a positive way, isn't there? There's a permission to challenge the behaviors as well, so that we can, and that you talked about the company commitments, but that's been interwoven into our ways of working a bit more now. So yeah, are more comfortable.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, that's leaning into the strengths language and using, you know, and almost being able to say, oh, I need a little bit, can you dial this up a little bit, or dial that strength down a little bit, but I think it's brought an awareness for people that they can see it themselves. So, you know, being more aware of, like we mentioned, you know, balconies and basements, meant that, you know, and for me, if I'm leaning into my deliberative, I can see it myself. So I need to lean out of it a little bit, or understand what the hurdle is, and you know, maybe ask someone that I know will view that differently to help me work past that. So I think that is, like you say, yeah, it's permission to be able to call it with each other, but in a way that's really understandable to help the individual see what it is that you're talking about through the strengths language.
And actually, you reminded me as well, we introduced, again, because of our remote working, we introduced these bite-sized boosts. Do you remember over the past, well, since our second lockdown? So we introduced those. So again, you touched on there. So the bite-sized boosts cover, you know, leaning into your strengths during COVID, during lockdown, feedback to feed forward, agile working, creating more emotional resilience. That was a powerful session. And then the whole piece around creating accountability and ownership. Talk to me about how those bite-sized boost sessions have helped you and also the organisation and the team in this time.
Yeah, I mean, the feedback on them has been incredible in terms of people I suppose have come to them, and, you know, we've had feedback from people saying, you know, I've really had to make time in my diary for this, and people are doing that because they really feel like it's an opportunity to connect with people around the business, and maybe work through some of the things that are holding them back, or that they're feeling are a bit of a blocker at the moment. And I know the emotional resilience one was a great help for people, both personally and professionally. It's obviously a very difficult time for people. And just being able to understand maybe where their strengths were playing into that emotional resilience, or where they can lean into it a little bit more. So yeah, the feedback from them has been great. And what I've liked about it, and I don't think it was intentional when we created it, was it felt like more of a relaxed environment. So people were really open during the sessions. And you could see, you know, people giving feedback that was helping other people on the call, and just making people think about things. So they've been great. And I think I think planning them first thing in the morning has meant that people come off them energized and ready to go, and they've almost had an opportunity to maybe talk through a couple of things that were maybe holding them back or blockers. And so yeah, we've had incredible feedback. Again, I think it was I think you came up with the idea of doing it going into the second lockdown, and again, it's worked really well for us.
Right, it is. So just to, you've given a brilliant summary of the whole journey from October 2019 now to we are now December the 7th. I can't believe we're coming to the end of 2020. So if you were to summarize 3 things that really have given, I suppose, what are the benefits that One United Strong team has given you and the team? What are those 3 things?
I think one of them, I think that probably most people across the business would say would be self-awareness. So understanding your own strengths. And I know I've said it a few times in your balconies and basements, and understanding maybe what's going on when you're not having a good day, what it is that's going on, and how that you are in control of that and how you can adjust that. I think that's been really powerful for us. And I think improving the communication and the collaboration, and that has been amazing for us in terms of we've always worked collaboratively, but just leaning into that more. So making sure that we're pulling different people from across the business to work on cross-functional projects. That for us has been great as well. But I think the one thing for me is really getting the team to see the role that they play in the wider strategic kind of direction of the business, is really getting people to connect to that purpose. I mean, we have a great organization, and we have great kind of mission and vision and values. We're getting people really connected to what does success look like for me personally, and how does that play into the overall success of the business, and getting people, and I think that's my futuristic, but getting people to stand in that success of December 2020 or December 2021, and really getting them to feel that has really helped people see the role that they play and connect everything together. So that for us, I think, is making us feel like, even though it's a really odd year in the fact that we're all working remotely, we feel like one really strong team.
Brilliant. And I'm very interested because you're head of HR, so you have been running this program, and we've been partnering in it over the past 15 years. 15 months. But I really, because you're coming from a HR background, and you've done a lot of programs over the years, I've no doubt, within Jaegermeister, but also in previous roles. What would you say to the HR department that would be interested, or would I suppose be interested in working with FUTURENEERZ? What would you say to them?
I would say to them, absolutely do it. I think in terms of, for me, in my role as head of HR, and the reason that I love HR is because I love understanding how you can get the best from people and how they can get the best from themselves. And work plays such a large part in people's lives, and so you want people to truly feel connected with what they're doing, and for them to feel inspired by what they're doing. And I think working with FUTURENEERZ has really helped us dig deep into, every individual has had the opportunity across the organisation to understand themselves better and how they can get that, their best day every day. And we have an incredible brand, and we have an incredible team, and I think now they really get the opportunity to work on themselves personally. And what I've really loved about working with FUTURENEERZ is it's a proper collaboration. So we work together. You're the expert in strengths, and I like the fact that we've created a program which has changed. It's had to change because of the year, and I think we feel incredibly proud of what we've achieved as an organisation, and I feel incredibly proud and pleased, I suppose, of the relationship that we've created. And we both had, I suppose, the same goal for where we wanted to get the team to. And I personally feel that I think it's surpassed what I thought we could achieve in a year. And that's also credit to all of the managers across the organisation who've worked on the programme, and every team member, in terms of what we've delivered. So yeah, I mean, I would say absolutely connect with FUTURENEERZ, have that initial conversation, and I can't imagine anybody that wouldn't be interested in understanding more after that initial conversation, because the results that you can achieve with everyone working together is really, really powerful.
Love it. Thank you. Jen, thank you so much for the time. You know what? I'm so blessed to have been working with you over the past 15 months, and I can't wait for 2021. But it is truly down to people like yourself who are brave and bold and constantly driving the change. We talk about Gandhi's quote of "Be the change you want to see in the world." Would you epitomize that? And I love that about you, and I love the energy that you bring to the team, but also how the managers, I want a big shout out to the managers. I always talk about 70% of engagement is down to the managers. Oh my gosh, the managers on Jaegermeister UK have taken what we've been doing over the past a year or so, that One United Thriving Team mantra and that insight and the mindset, they've taken it to their hearts and they've made it their own. So it's an amazing achievement to you, and also to the leadership team and the managers and the whole team. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to continue working with you all leading into 2021. So thank you so much.
I agree. No, thank you.